Hello, and welcome to Allie in Sweatpants. My name is Allie, and I am wearing sweat shorts because it's 91 degrees outside. So you might hear my air conditioner come on. It is what it is. It's just necessary. It's been a minute. The old mental health has been giving us some grief recently, but it's okay because we're here. So if you're new here, a very warm welcome to you. Oh, there's Simon. I mostly talk about knitting here, and if you have been here before, welcome back. Thank you for sticking it out with me. Good boy. So yeah, as I said, it's been a while, which means we have a lot to talk about. It's part of the reason it's taken me so long to come back because I feel overwhelmed, but we're gonna get past that and we're gonna chat. So I have lots of finished objects, and I think I'll just start with what I would guess people might find the most exciting. So yes, I have quite a few garments to talk about. Oh, there goes my AC if you can hear it. Where's my phone? Sorry, I had to grab my phone because I do not remember the name of some of the patterns. Sorry. Okay, so we're gonna start with the Moby sweater for my boyfriend. I don't remember what was cast on, what was not cast on last time, so this was definitely cast on actually because I was talking to you about my wonky cables, but it is done. It is not blocked, and I obviously haven't woven in the ends because I have heard that people like to block and then weave in the ends, so that's just kind of what I've been doing. But here it is. I made the 4th size. Let's see if I can't. And I used Patton's Evermore, which is, I'm pretty sure, discontinued. It was sold through Joann Fabrics, and it's a recycled wool tweed yarn. And I think you can see maybe something that bothers me about the finished object. I matched the dye lots and it still came out stripy, which is very frustrating. However, I think what I'm going to do, because it's already like a creamy off-white color, I think what I'm going to do is, oh wow, in my viewfinder you can really see it. What I'm going to do is, when it's drying after blocking, I'm going to lay it out in the sun and hope that maybe the combination of the washing and the sun will help even out the neutral whites. So I love the Moby sweater pattern. This is my 2nd time knitting it, and I think it looks so impressive. Let's see. I think it looks so impressive, but it's not difficult. The only real cables are these here, and everything else is just knits and purls, pretty much. So yeah, it's nice and it's thick. I think it's going to keep him very, very warm. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, so I suppose we'll just move right along. The next finished object that I have is a cardigan for myself, and it is the Linger pattern, which actually featured in my free knitting patterns I have my eye on video. And here it is. It is an all over half fisherman's rib. I'm almost certain. I can't see what you're seeing. And it is knit top down, flat, it's cardigan. And I knit it in Lion brand fisherman's wool. There are two browns. One is like a true brown and one is kind of a dusty brown, and I used the dusty brown. I can't remember what it's called, sorry. And I made the 4th size. Now, I wanted this to be really big and slouchy and oversized, and it's not. It's cute, it looks really cute on, and it fits nicely, but it's not like a giant slouchy cardigan. And that's on me. I never knit things big enough, but that's fine. So the yarn. I really like the yarn. It's a really affordable yarn, but I am finding it prickly. I find it prickly on my neck, and I find it prickly on my inner arms, which for a cardigan is not that big of a deal because I can just wear it with a long sleeve t-shirt underneath. But yeah, it's not ideal. And then the buttons that I chose are from a shop on Etsy, which I will link down below. I have ordered buttons from him before. They're all like handmade wooden buttons, and I really love them. For these, I went for like a wibbly wobbly natural wood that I think are super cool. They're like live edge buttons, so they're not uniform or exactly the same. And I love it. I have worn this. I have blocked this. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see this winter what kind of wear it gets, but being a free pattern, the instructions were, I thought, super clear. If memory serves, the size range is pretty good. I'll just double check that. Yeah, 9 sizes. The size range is good. And yeah, the instructions were clear. So I prefer brioche over fisherman's rib or half fisherman's rib. I actually think brioche is easier and the flow is nicer, but they give a very similar look at the end of it, and I just really wanted to try out that free pattern, so there's that one. My last finished garment is another one for myself, and it is the Versal by Albina McLaughlin. I have made this quite a number of times now. This might be like my 4th or 5th that I have knit. I knit this again out of Lion brand fisherman's wool in the, I think it's maybe called birch tweed colorway. This is also washed and blocked. The sleeves are like a little bit too long for my liking. I think that they look disproportionate to the body, so I may rip back a bit of the sleeves. Chris thinks it looks perfect. He doesn't want me to change a thing, so I'll give it a couple wears and see how I feel about it. But again, I'm finding it a little bit prickly on my skin. Now this might be one of those things where I just need to wear it, and once it sort of warms up to my skin temperature or something, it will be less itchy. I am going to sew down the neckline. I thought it would be nice to have the option to kind of fold it in or have it up if I was really cold. However, it doesn't sit very well folded in. It keeps wanting to pop out, and like I've mentioned before, high neck things don't look great on me. I have a stubby little neck. I have you know, a prominent double chin, and on me personally, I don't love how it looks, so I would rather just have a scarf if I was so cold I needed something for my neck. So I am going to be sewing that down to make it almost like a folded collar look. But yes, I love, oh, and I think I made the size 5. I love the Versal pattern by Albina. It's like a, what's it called? It sort of starts as like a saddle shoulder, and then it goes into like a raglan, and the raglan angle changes. It's very fun to do. It really keeps me entertained while I'm doing it. Maybe there you can see the like saddle panel here, and then it goes out. I don't really know what that's called, but yeah. And like I've said before with this pattern, there are like 3 different neck options, 2 different body shaping options, 2 or 3 different sleeve options. There's a male version and female version just based on what kind of shaping and length measurements you would like. It's great. I highly recommend it. I think it's a big bang for your buck given how many options there are in the pattern. So the really exciting thing about these 3 garments is that I am taking Chris and myself to England this October for 2 weeks, and I just like to knit us new wardrobes when we go on trips. And so I believe all 3 of these will be coming on our trip with us, unless I cannot stand the prickliness of mine. We may be doing a little switcheroo there, but Chris's will certainly be coming with us. And it's pretty exciting. So yes, now my finished objects are all on the smaller side. However, I had a great time. So I will start with socks. Surprise, surprise, I have socks as finished objects. So actually the ones that I'm wearing now are part of my finished objects. They're very fun self-striping fall colorway. I'll put the Etsy shop that I got the yarn on the screen. But let's just fly through these. So I finished my Drops Fiesta. Come on. Drops Fiesta socks. I think this pink is so much fun. I don't remember the colorway, but it's a pretty recognizable pink shade. And it's a DK weight, so I'm pretty sure I did 48 stitches, 3.5 or 3.25 millimeter needle, and I did a 3x1 rib. Just because for DK socks, I can tend to find that they can get slouchy and droopy a bit quicker than fingering weight socks. So I always like to throw a rib in for thicker socks just to kind of keep them where they're supposed to be. So I love DK weight socks. I really like this Drops Fiesta. I've had a really good knitting experience with it. And then I finished my Woolly Mammoth Fiber Company vanilla socks. Here they are. This is a 100% non-superwash wool sock base, but it's spun for socks. And last time I was in England, Ireland, the UK, I stopped by at Emma's and I picked up an order that I made just so I didn't have to deal with shipping. And this was in it. All of the contrasting colors are a mini skein set that I got. And then the main green, I think was called Fern. It's one of her regularly occurring colorways. And these are both in the Hearth sock base. As I was saying, they're both in the Hearth sock base, which is a gray sock base. And I will look up what the wool content is and I'll put it on the screen, but everything is sourced and spun in the UK. That's like her whole thing, is trying to source fibers as local to her as possible and keep production and everything as local as possible. So very fun. And I followed her tips. She did a whole video on rustic sock knitting and tips. And one of her tips was to make the sock at least 1, if not 2 centimeters longer than you typically would, to account for felting, because when you're walking, it will have friction this way, so it will felt in length a bit. And so I have done that. And I am really looking forward to giving these a try this winter. Next, I have a pair of socks from the Legacy Fiber Arts for Sundays of Advent calendar this past year. And it's a super, super fun colorway. And again, it's just a vanilla sock. So I should say on this one, I did 2.5 millimeter needles, 56 stitches. Same with this one, I did 2.5 millimeter needles, 56 stitches. That's my go-to for my socks. And I did a 2x2 cuff slip stitch heel, and everything else is just vanilla. I just think they're very fun and very pretty. Then I have a very old pair of socks. If you've been here, I would say for 2 years. Maybe you will have remembered these being a work in progress, but this was like a one-of-a-kind colorway from LaRue Cotton, which is, well, it was Etsy, but now it's also like a web shop. They have a website. And I just love, it ended up being this self-striping style yarn, but it's that type of self-striping where it's not stripes in the sense that there's a long length of yarn in one color and then the next color, it's short bursts of each color, so the stripes kind of end up spiraling to make a stripe, which I don't know how it works, but it does, and I think it's very cool. And so these are, again, 2.5 millimeter needles, 56 stitches, and this is the old sock base, so I'm pretty sure it was still bamboo, organic cotton, and elastic. Now I think it is organic cotton, tencel, and elastic. It doesn't feel much different from the old base, but one of the ingredients, fibers, is different. So yes. And then the last finished pair of socks for myself, all of these happened because my WhatsApp friends and I did a sock knit along as kind of like a come together, solidarity, friendship knit along type of thing, just to sort of feel like we were in something together. And I took it upon myself to just finish all of my lingering single socks. And that's why there are so many. It's because I don't think a single one of these, except for the 2 I'm going to show you after this next pair, are new cast on. They were all already cast on and hidden away. So this, I'm so sorry, I don't know the yarn. It was gifted to me. All I know is that it was bought, I think it was bought at Northwest Wool in Portland, Oregon. And it might be their home brand, but it is a wool blend. Aren't those so fun? Look at how crazy and speckly they are. I think they're so fun. So again, 2.5 millimeter needle, 2.5 millimeter needle, 56 stitches. And my go-to recently has been a 2x2 cuff and a slip stitch heel, but if I find that the pattern looks better with a plain heel, or I'm feeling crazy, I go back to a 1x1 cuff. It's all, you get to really just play around once you kind of have your sock formula. That being said, I need to learn how to do an umbrella toe because all of Chris's socks wear out in the toe where you're doing the decreases. They all wear out on the big toe. So clearly that toe shaping does not fit his foot very well. So I really want to learn the umbrella toe and see if his socks last longer that way. If you have any other toes that you really like the fit of, if you have that same problem, please let me know. So the next pair of socks that I have finished are with some leftover yarn that I can't pronounce, so I will just hold it for you to see. I hope that focused. Yeah, I really like this yarn. I bought a couple from this brand. This is the only one I've used so far, I'm pretty sure. And I really like it. I made my mom a pair of socks with this yarn for her birthday because this line of yarn is like their birthday colorways, and this was the May colorway, and my mom's birthday's in May. And so I used what was left along with some Patton's Croix like undyed cream sock yarn, and I made these. So these are on 2.5 millimeter needles, but these are not for me. These are going to be a gift. And so I did 60 stitches. Whenever I'm knitting for a typical adult, I always err on the side of caution and I do 60 stitches. I know for myself I prefer 56, and so if I get feedback from a 60 stitch count friend saying that they would prefer a tighter sock, then I know that I can do 56 stitches. But if I haven't made them a pair yet, I always err on the side of caution and I do 60. So yeah, just vanilla, and the yarn's doing all the hard work for me. And these would be for a friend of mine. And it's a wool sock yarn. Also, I haven't mentioned in a long time, but if you're curious, I do knit my socks cuff down. I have never knit a toe up sock purely because I have figured out the length necessary for the foot from the heel to just before the toe decreases. And I don't know how to calculate from the toe to the heel length, if that makes sense. So I'm scared, but if you prefer toe up, let me know, because I have thought about trying it. I just have never let myself do it. Also because socks are kind of like my mindless chill out knitting. So speaking of our trip to England, I wear my hand knit socks always, period. I don't wear store-bought socks anymore, but I do find that if I'm walking for a long time or I'm hiking or something like that, the purl bumps on the inside can start to rub and irritate the bottom of my foot in certain places. And I had seen this thing a long time ago. I think it was called like a princess foot sock, where essentially you reverse the bottom of the foot so that the purl bumps are on the outside and the knit stitches are on the inside. So I just sort of winged that. This is Patton's Croix again in like the rust. I don't know, they all look so different. It's like the rust ombre-ish yarn. And I did, I'm pretty sure 7x1 rib. So I did a thick rib on the leg and then down the front of the foot. And then I did the heel flap. And then for the gusset is where I turned everything inside out. And I was kind of trying to figure out how to do it because I didn't want to look it up. So the gusset decreases here are still in stockinette, but the bottom is pearls. Honestly, it was pretty hard on my hands, which is why the second sock is still not finished because I did this like 2 months ago. But I think it will be nice. So I want to make myself at least this one pair before our trip, and I want to make Chris at least one pair before the trip, because we do plan on hiking a couple days, I think, and it would just be nice to have the option. So I think what I'm going to do for Chris's pair is I'm going to knit the entire sock inside out. So top to bottom, all you're going to see on the outside is the pearl bumps. And that way I don't have to worry about the inside out heel flap and gusset or anything like that. So that's my half finished object. Sorry, had to pause and text my mom back. My next few finished objects I had such a good time making. Now, I never thought that I was going to be this person where I knit homeware. I'm finding the name of the pattern. But I have knit some dish towels and I loved every single second of it. It is the Easy Scalloped Washcloth plus Hand Towels by Pearl Soho. It is a free pattern. I was in a knitting slump and none of my projects were really doing it for me. I just wasn't having a very good time. I didn't feel the need for anything, which is where my knitting really shines, is when I feel like there's a need somewhere for someone. And I wasn't feeling that, and so I was really unmotivated. And then I saw this pattern, and literally the day I saw it, I cast it on. And I had such an incredible time. So the first one that I actually knit is here. It is the washcloth version. As you can see, I only had about half the yarn needed. So it's gonna be like a cleaning cloth. I don't like to call it a rag because I made it, but it's gonna be like a cleaning rag basically. And this was with leftover Lion Brand Touch of Linen. So it's a cotton linen washcloth. And then I made this towel here with some We Are Knitters recycled cotton. So it's pretty much 100% recycled cotton in a gray color, and it just feels so nice. The pattern is all over garter stitch with increases and decreases to make the cute little scallop. I also think it would make such a cute like scarf pattern, you know? So, and then after that, I made this one, which is the longest one I have. And both this one and this one are in the biggest stitch count in the pattern. And this is in Sennes Garn Line, which is like a cotton linen viscose blend. I had gotten it originally for a garment for myself, and I realized pretty quickly that I didn't think it would suit me. And so I had gifted most of it to a friend and only kept a little bit for myself. And I thought, perfect for a hand towel. And then the last two that I made are with Knit Picks Shine Sport. I had a total brain fart. It's a cotton modal blend. I have used the worsted version for a few sweaters actually. And I had 2 balls of each color in the sport weight. And so I actually cast on only 40 stitches, which is a lot smaller than the biggest hand towel size recommended. You can see here. But truthfully, like if I'm thinking about that hanging on my oven rail, I think that is perfectly fine for a hand towel. So I just knit until I ran out of yarn. And you can tell, like, where I bind off is not a perfect rounded scallop. Like when you cast on, it's a perfect rounded scallop. And for all of these, I just cast off whenever I ran out of yarn. So I used like everything I had. And I really like them. I want to keep making them. I stalled. I haven't made any in a couple of weeks, but I would like to keep working on them. I think they will make really nice gifts. I never thought, I always was like, oh, hand towels might be nice, but it always felt like a waste of time. Like if I wasn't working on a garment or something, it wasn't worth my time. I had such a good time. I had such a good time making those because they are so easy, but there's enough going on to kind of keep you going and like tallying things off and blah, 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 but not enough to where you have to like think really. So I highly recommend that pattern. It changed my mind on homeware being worth it or not. So my next work in progress will be a cardigan for, I guess, my first work in progress. We're going into works in progress. Will be a cardigan for myself. This might be hard to show because I shoved it all on one cable, but we will endeavor to persevere. Oh yeah. So it is the Diamond Aran cardigan. Let's see. That's what the front looks like. And then the back is just double moss stitch. When I first saw this pattern, I absolutely fell in love. I bought it right away. And sadly, one, it doesn't come in very many sizes. And two, it's originally a Japanese pattern, which, awesome. But I saw after I purchased it that it was not professionally translated. So I have struggled a bit with measurements in particular. There are graphics for the measurements to show, like, let's use this measurement on the back, for example. So there's graphics of the back to show how long that underarm straight part, this part, should be. And I thought the measurement was from the center back. So when I first stopped knitting on the back piece, it only went to like here, which obviously that's not enough room for your armpit. So I had to go back and add more. And then I did the first front panel. And I measured from the shoulder to the bottom, which is what it says to do, and I got the measurement. But even after making the back panel the length that it needed to be, that is not enough room for my armpit. This is supposed to be a slouchy cardigan, and that would be a very tight sleeve. So I was very frustrated, and then I realized that the instructions said that this should measure where I have it now when it is pulled like 2 inches above the back, which obviously cuts way into the front. So now if you look, if the front matched the back, that would be plenty for an armhole. So that was frustrating, to say the least. Also, the other thing I don't love is for the chart, there's a left front and a right front chart, which is normal. And this here is the whole chart. And then typically I have found what happens is after you finish that initial chart, you go to a new page and it has the chart repeats for each section that pick up right where you left off at the end of that first kind of master chart. This one does not have that. This one, the individual repeats are kind of highlighted in darker boxes within the big master chart, and they do not start where the big chart ends. So I kind of had to like look at where it ends and then go into each individual box and cross off how many I had done. And like the first row of, for example, the first row of this diamond cable is not the first row of this cable, is not the first row of these two, is not the first row of this one. So they were all marked off in different levels, I guess I could say. I think it is beautiful, but it's just something that bothered me. And the other thing that bothered me, and this is nitpicky, this is my own thing, but where the front panel, let me see. Can you just figure yourself out? So where the front panel meets the back panel, I would have loved there to have been a stockinette line across that shoulder seam to incorporate like this look and this look. If you look at the shoulder of the Dagmar cardigan, that's what I really would have loved to have seen for this cardigan. But that all being said, I'm really ragging on this pattern, but I am really excited to have the final product, and I am starting to enjoy the knitting process, but it took some time. So that's that, and I am making the 5th size, I believe. So another sweater that got some lovin' is Chris's Norfolk sweater. These are so we can have matching Christmassy sweaters. I made one for myself last year in main color white, contrast color olive green. And this is Chris's. It is in, this is in Patton's Evermore. This is in Lion Brand Touch of Linen, so it's a 50-50 cotton linen blend. And it looks so long because it is. It is way too long on Chris. I could have stopped here. However, this shrank so much on my version when I washed and dried it that I think this will actually shrink to the perfect size for Chris. So I did the collar. Now I just need to do the sleeves. And I'm wondering if I should wash and dry it before I do the sleeves just to get an idea for the shrinkage so that I can account for the length of the sleeves, or if I should just go on to the sleeves. I'm honestly not really feeling color work right now. My battery's about to die. Okay, we're back. Hopefully this battery lasts the duration of the episode. So as I was saying, I'm not really feeling color work right now, so I'm not sure when I will pick this back up, but it's just the sleeves, and I think they will kind of fly. So we'll see. Also, I'm pretty sure I'm making him the 4th size. So yeah, I really recommend this pattern. I've talked about before, the shoulder construction is so interesting. I really want to use this shoulder construction to make just like a plain stockinette sweater because I think it like caps the shoulder so nicely. So I would highly recommend looking into this pattern. It was my first ever colorwork pattern and I found it totally manageable and easy to follow. So we'll just go here. My next work in progress is also my acquisition. This is all I have bought since last time. Oh, I just realized there's some finished objects, but I gifted them. I'll talk about them at the end. So this is the Lion brand Retweed. It is 40% recycled wool, 40% recycled polyester, and 20% recycled acrylic. So it's a 100% recycled yarn. It's darker than it looks on camera right now. And I am, for a friend again, making a hat. It's not going to be small. This is like the biggest size. So this is the basic beanie pattern by Tin Can Knits. It's a free pattern. I'm using their free app, and I chose the 2x2 worsted weight option, and I literally just started it last night, so there's not a lot to show. It's on 3.75 millimeter needles, which for me is pretty tight for worsted weight, but I think it will make for a really nice and warm hat. So I have never used this yarn before, but I am really liking it. I think I might get myself a ball to make a full length long ripple bralette for an underlayer. So yeah, Lion brand Retweed. I recommend it. I don't love synthetic fibers in my yarn. However, if I'm going to have them, I want them to be recycled, which these are, and it feels really, really, really nice. So I recommend. My next work in progress I am almost done with, and I'm almost done with the yarn. So this is a gift for my friend's daughter, and it is the ruffle dress, I'm pretty sure, from Knitting for Olive. It's a pattern bundle where it comes with a romper, a top, and a dress, and it comes for quite a few different sizes. Okay, oops, not that one. Okay, the pattern is called Ruffle, Romper, and Ruffle Dress. So I am doing the ruffle dress pattern in the biggest size, and I'm using a needle size up. So it's even a little bit bigger. The biggest size is size 6, and so it's even a little bit bigger than the biggest size. And it's been a lot of fun. So back here, there's going to be like a keyhole, I think it's called, detail for the back. And what I want to do is like a long I-cord strap, pick up, do an applied I-cord, and then I-cord strap. So it's going to be like a I-cord framed bow situation. And all the edges are so interesting. They are not I-cords, they are like knits and purls, but the way that they roll almost make them look I-cordy to me. So the ruffle, I am fairly certain you would like pick up around here and then around that center line. I do not have enough yarn for a ruffle, so I think I'm going to omit the ruffle. As cute as it is, and as much as I think she would like it, I think that this is also very, very cute without the ruffle. It's sort of like a, what are they called, those Bridgerton style dresses where the bust line comes up really high? It almost is like that. So I'm almost done with the skirt, and then I just have to do that I-cord closure. This is in 100% organic cotton from Terrapin Fiberworks. It's their fingering weight cotton in the colorway Mittens, which is just a really nice pale, cool leaning pink. Again, I got it for a t-shirt for myself, and that would be a naked scare. So yes, the last thing, yeah, that's it. The last thing I'm going to talk about are those 2 finished objects that I forgot to mention. I knit 2 hot water bottle covers for a friend of mine because she let us stay at her beach house. I'm trying to find which hot water bottle pattern I used. Okay, The hot water bottle pattern that I have used and I like is called Hot Water Bottle Cover. It's a free pattern for DK weight, I'm pretty sure. I used it once in December, and then I used it again for the 2 hot water bottle covers that I made for my friend. And I used Lion Brand Touch of Linen, which again is that cotton linen blend. And because it's a beach house, I tried to make them sort of nautical themed. It's a beach house in Oregon, so that's hence the hot water bottles. It can get very cold there, but very cozy as well. So they're nautical, but they're cozy. And one, I just did a very simple 4-stitch cable repeat around the whole thing. And then the other one I striped, and what I did was every 5th stitch I slipped it, and I slipped it for 2 rows. And that's all I did. And then the last finished object I knit was a cat for a family friend of mine. It is called Cat in a Plaid Sweater. And I knit it out of the Joann's brand. It's basically Drops Air. You can't get the yarn I used anymore, but it's essentially Drops Air. It's a blown wool and alpaca yarn. And it was fun, but it was fiddly. It did not come out perfect. It's a little bit of a funky kitty, but it seems to have brought this family friend of mine a lot of comfort as she's going through something very difficult. So I'm glad that I did it. And it is pretty cute. It's very little. I thought it was going to be kind of a bigger stuffy. It's a small stuffy. So, and it was all seamed. There was nothing, there was no pickup and this and that and knitting around. No, it was all seamed, but it turned out very cute. So I do recommend the pattern. And that's it. That is all I have to talk about today. It was a lot. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for bearing with me as I've been gone. It's just one of those things, you know? So I hope that you're doing well. I hope that you're knitting on things that make you happy, or you're taking a break from knitting if that makes you happy. Just take care of yourself. I'd love to know what you were working on while you were watching this, even if that's just, I don't know, you were cooking, or you were cleaning something you've been meaning to clean, or you've been folding laundry you've been meaning to fold. That's what I need to do. Or you were knitting or crocheting or whatever. I would just love to know what you were doing while we were hanging out. And all of that being said, I will be back when I have more to talk about. Bye.